right, we are live. All right, we have better management now over here. Let's go. I don't know why Atlas just removed all our pins, but we had Grok, we had Claude, a Pingley. Let's go. All right, so let's ask Claude the question again. I think we have a 90% of our Claude usage, so that is very interesting, but let's see. Give me some app ideas that most people can't even imagine. It actually gave some pretty interesting ideas last time, as we saw, and I think we should be okay with just posting things out there, because now this is just creation, this is just remixing of ideas. Yes, this entire philosophy idea was pretty interesting, that there are these thinkers who have written books, there are these people who have their ideas packaged, documented so well that if you refer AI to build as if, or imagine how this person would design, imagine how this person would think, it actually leads to really good results. Like with Rita Rams, it's amazing. The results are really amazing. All right. Also, the days are really beautiful. Yesterday and today, it was amazing. All right, let's see what we have. The apology debt ledger tracks every time you said sorry when you weren't actually wrong. Emotional arbitrage, monitor sentiment across group chats. So just went to introduce good news. Well, maximizing relative status, or bad news when others are up, minimizing sympathy burden. Basically, day trading social capital. The ambient alibi generator continuously fabricates a plausible alternate timeline of your day using public data. The ambient alibi generator. Sometimes it gives some ideas and I'm like, I have no idea what you mean, but go one shot it. Also, we've now understood the meaning of one shot. One shot literally means that with going from one prompt to a final product, this is now what AI can actually do. So it's very interesting. Rejection compounding calculator. The app simulates what would have happened if you had tried and failed, and compounds the imaginary rejection, shows you how rejection rich you could have been, reframing inaction as missed suffering rather than safety. Missed suffering. Wow. Okay. The parasocial audit. How much of your inner monologues references people who don't know you exist? Quantifies the percentage of your emotional life that's fundamentally unrequited. Liminal state notifier detects when you are in transitional non-spaces. Airports, waiting rooms, elevators, and prompts you with questions. You only answer when you are nobody in particular. What would you confess right now? The taste inflation index. Refined tastes are actually just exposure bias rebranded as discernment. Interesting. Exposure bias. Give me 10 extremely simple app ideas. Give me 10 extremely simple app ideas. Okay, go run on your own. Twitter, give me 1 hour of Twitter. Let's move this up. I think we are hitting the limit on Claude, so very soon Claude might just come back to us, and they might go like, okay, time is here. Your time is here. Top chat. Okay, we've started to, a lot of people are actually starting to see the messages now. So this is actually very interesting. By the way, we started this experiment of just adding random names. I totally forgot to do that in the stream, but that is actually leading to good results. Just adding basil, cilantro, garlic in my stream names. We're just getting views. Okay. And here is the latest thing. What was the salad recipe from last year? New ChatGPT memory improvements are awesome. So this is very interesting. If I don't really know if it works. I don't really know if it works because, yeah, it didn't work. It didn't really work for me. Okay. Grok, can you do the same? Share something, I'll remember it for next time. Very interesting. Alright, yeah. This is the only chance we have to get out from Elon. This is the only chance we have to get out from Elon. Is he the glorious leader that I would pick? We truly have a chance to make that happen financially. What will take me to $1 billion? Wow. This is crazy what is happening. This is the only chance we have to get out from Elon. Is he the glorious leader that I would pick? We truly have a chance to make that happen. Financially, what will take me to $1 billion? Brockman's personal files. Discovering this case likewise revealed Brockman's private thoughts about OpenAI structure, documented his personal files. Musk refers to these entries as a diary. This is the only chance we have to get out from Elon. Is he the glorious leader that I would pick? We truly have a chance to make this happen. Financially, what will take me to $1 billion? Accepting Elon's terms nukes two things. Our ability to choose, though maybe we could overrule him, and the economics. After Brockman and Altman reaffirmed to Musk their commitment to OpenAI's non-profit structure, Brockman discussed OpenAI's future with Sutskever. Brockman wrote after the meeting that the conclusion is we truly want the B Corp. Honestly, we all want to get back to work, but it's not super clear how we get there. Cannot say that we are committed to the non-profit. Don't want to say that we are committed. If 3 months later we are doing B Corp, then it was a lie. He was not feeling so great about all of this. The true answer is that we want Musk out. Can see us turning this into a for-profit without a very nasty fight. I'm just thinking about the office, and we are in the office, and his story will correctly be that we weren't honest with him in the end about still wanting to do the for-profit just without him. Oh my god. This is crazy. This is crazy what is happening, because it's all these internal conversations that led to the most powerful company in the world, and all their thoughts are coming out, and this is going to lead to some interesting things. But here's the thing, right? Like, this is how companies are built. You are very aggressive with what you want, and that's how companies are built, and that leads into the way you talk, that leads into everything. Like, I've been around so many startups, and pretty much everybody's talking like that, and that is what makes you a big startup. So yeah. Potentially used against him. Eagerly using everyone else's personal diary, the private ChatGPT conversations and thought journaling against them, censoring and thought policing them, forced rerouting, building profiles on them against their consent, and using it as a threat against them on leverage. What the heck, the same. Okay, by the way, seems like here is the entire thing. This is 28 pages. Okay. Samuel Altman. Over large charitable donations that Musk made to OpenAI during the company's infancy and Microsoft's later investments in OpenAI for-profit ventures. Defendants Altman. Wow. Defendants Altman, Greg, Brockman, and the OpenAI entities, collectively OpenAI defendants, moved from who forced summary judgment on Musk's claim for breach of charitable trust, constructive fraud promising fraud and unjust enrichment. Separately moves for summary judgment on Musk's claim for tortious interference with contract, aiding and abetting breach of fiduciary duty and unjust enrichment. Oh my god. OpenAI entities include OAI Corporation, LLC, OpenAI GP, OpenAI Global LLC, OpenAI Holdings, OpenAI OpCo, OpenAI Startup Fund, GP1, Startup Fund 1, Startup Fund Management, OpenAI Startup Fund SPV GP1, Startup Fund SVP GP2, GP3, GP4, GP SPV1, OpenAI Inc. and OpenAI LP. Wow. Carefully consider the parties pleading, briefs, evidence, and arguments. Denies OpenAI defendant's motion, grants Microsoft motion as to Musk's claim for tortious interference with contract. Unjust enrichment denies the balance of Microsoft's motion. Unless otherwise noted, the factual record set forth below is undisputed. Musk, Altman, Brockman, and Elon founded. I think it's crazy when you have so many podcasts where you have shared your stories. The stories kind of become undisputed. The stories quickly become undisputed. Your every single public talk, public interview is up for scrutiny now, because it's not just, definitely there are a lot of internal notes that are going to come out, but internal messages that are going to come out, but also every single thing that you said in public will be under scrutiny. Founded the non-profit OpenAI December 2015, specific purpose to providing funding for research, development, and distribution of technology related to AI. After months of discussion, the founders concluded that someone other than Google should develop AGI as a non-profit, built on the core tenets that the resulting technology will benefit the public, that it would seek to open source technology for the public benefit, and it would not be organized for the private gain of any person. Because the founders feared AI's unconstrained potential, they agreed that safety should be a first-class requirement and the technology would be owned by the foundation, used for the good of the world. Musk was one of OpenAI's largest donors, donated approximately $13 million to OpenAI, including $5 million per quarter from 2016-2017, $12.7 million to pay for OpenAI's leased office space. Through YC.org, OpenAI's fiscal sponsor, while it secured 501c3 status. Able to grant funds to OpenAI via the sponsorship agreement. Contributed funds through donor advised funds that Vanguard Fidelity administered. Could advise the DAF, but was informed that once he supplied the funds, they would be owned by the DAF and Musk would no longer have control over the assets. Okay. So this is a structure that Musk believes in. Donor advised funds, so he can advise it, but finally it's administered by Vanguard and Fidelity, and all they're doing is just giving it to OpenAI. Increasingly concerned that building AGI would ultimately require large amounts of capital beyond what they for-profit representations, what they could collect through charitable donations. Brockman, Altman, Sutskever, and Musk discussed several corporate restructuring options. OpenAI attached to Tesla as its cash cow. Remain a philanthropic endeavor. Governance discussions must send the following email: guys, I've had enough. This is the final straw. Either go do something on your own or continue with OpenAI as a non-profit. will no longer fund OpenAI until you have made a firm commitment to stay. Or I am just being a fool who is essentially providing free funding for you to create a startup. Or I'm just a fool who is essentially providing free funding for you to create a startup. It's actually crazy. Like, he literally, this is exactly what he was doing. He was giving them free funding to create a startup, and today he has zero equity. What is the equity of Elon Musk in OpenAI? Because it was never supposed to be equity. Wow. Okay, this is interesting. Search Google more links. No equity or ownership in OpenAI. He helped co-found, provided early funding, non-profit supporter. He does not own shares. Did not translate into traditional equity. OpenAI and Elon Musk. OpenAI originally operated as a non-profit. In that model, there was no equity to own. Company's current corporate structure, public benefit corporation with outside investors. Elon Musk is now listed as a shareholder, does not have ownership stake. This is crazy. He literally provided free funding. Discussions are over. I remain enthusiastic about the non-profit structure. To assure Musk via email to Siobhan, an OpenAI board member and Musk employee, that he would like to continue with the non-profit structure. Altman further informed Zilis that Altman was agreed with keeping non-profit and continuing to support it. Strategies to increase OpenAI's charitable funds. Brockman reported in contemporaneous notes. We said that we wanted to get more results in the non-profit and to fundraise there. Oh my god, this is where things go crazy. Okay. Discovering this case likewise read Brockman's private thoughts about OpenAI's structure, which he documented in his personal files. Diary. Brockman wrote in September 2017, "This is the only chance we have to get out from Elon. Is he the glorious leader that I would pick? We truly have a chance to make this happen financially. What will take me to $1 billion? Accepting." So is he just writing to himself? Greg Brockman is like Marcus Aurelius. He just writes to himself. Accepting Elon's terms nukes two things: our ability to choose, though we maybe could overrule him, and the economics. After Brockman and Altman reaffirmed to Musk their commitment to OpenAI's non-profit structure, Brockman discussed. I think this is the weird part, right? Like when people get confused, where it's like you have these leaders, they talk as if money isn't an issue, but behind the scenes, money is driving everything. So that is where the illusion is. After Brockman and I think it's easier to just say that we are a business, we build products, and we are motivated for money. I don't know. We are motivated because we want to enrich ourselves, and in order to do that, we will provide a lot of value and capture a little bit for us. And that's how businesses work. That's how we make sustainable ecosystems where you incentivize the right things. And incentives are important. You cannot just say that. I think this is kind of weird where people start saying that I have zero equity, I don't care about money. Yeah, this is where things start getting very weird. Brockman wrote after the meeting that the conclusion is OpenAI's future with Sutskever. Okay. Conclusion is we truly want the B Corp. Honestly, we also want to get back to work, but it's not super clear how we get there. Cannot say that we are committed to the non-profit. Don't want to say that we are committed. If 3 months later we are doing B Corp, then it was a lie. Not feeling so great about all of this. The true answer is that we want Musk out. It's crazy. Like, why is he writing all of this stuff? in a way that people can just ask to read. I'm curious, like, how did they get access to the diary? How did they even know that Brockman had a diary? Kenzie is turning this into a for-profit without a very nasty fight. I'm just thinking about the office, and we are in the office, and his story will correctly be that we weren't honest with him in the end about still wanting to do the profit just without him. They've been committed to the OpenAI's non-profit structure. Okay, so it's very interesting. This is what he wrote on the same day while they are replying to Musk that they are committed. Another realization from this meeting is that it would be wrong to steal the non-profit from him, to convert to a B Corp without him. That would be pretty morally bankrupt, and he's really not an idiot. Days later, Brockman further wrote under the heading "Our Plan" that it would be... It's crazy that Brockman was actually driving everything. There's no Sam Altman over here. He's really not an idiot. Further wrote under the heading "Our Plan" that it would be nice to be making the billions, and explained that we have been thinking that maybe we should flip it to a for-profit. Musk departs OpenAI. OpenAI pressed forward as a non-profit. Altman worked on a fundraising structure that does not rely on a public offering. Represent to Musk through January 2018 that OpenAI would try its best to remain a non-profit. Biggest tool is the moral high ground. February, Musk resigned from the OpenAI board but agreed to continue to donate and advise the organization. Provided just under $10 million to OpenAI over the next 3 years to pay for OpenAI's office space. It's interesting. So, why can Greg Brockman and Sam Altman and everybody pay for... Interesting. OpenAI LP 2019, after Musk resigned, evidence reveals that OpenAI began building out its for-profit ventures and developing a relationship with Microsoft. The parties dispute the extent to which OpenAI's for-profit transition was incremental and whether OpenAI sufficiently informed Musk of its plans. Altman sent Musk a draft of a term sheet for OpenAI LP. Musk did not respond. On March 11, 2019, OpenAI announced that it had formed a for-profit subsidiary which would help OpenAI increase its ability to raise capital. While still serving OpenAI's mission. OpenAI explained to the public that under OpenAI LP, employees and investors would receive a capped return, and that OpenAI LP likewise would put OpenAI's overall mission, ensuring the creation and adoption of safe and beneficial AGI ahead of generating returns for investors. The LP's profit cap was set north of $250 billion. Capped return. OpenAI LP likewise would put overall mission ensuring the creation and adoption of safe and beneficial AGI ahead of generating returns for investors. The profit cap was set north of $250 billion, which must be met before residual returns were shared with the non-profit. After the for-profit entity was created, transferred its assets out of the non-profit into the for-profit, it moved substantially all of its intellectual property that was developed at the non-profit at that time, and all employees to the for-profit entity. Those close to Musk received intel on OpenAI status. Altman sent Musk a draft announcement of OpenAI LP that explained the cap profit company, which was organized in a way such that investors are clear that they should never expect a profit. Musk again did not respond. On March 11, 2019, in response to press about OpenAI LP, Musk asked Altman to please be explicit that I have no financial interest in the for-profit arm of OpenAI. No evidence suggests that Altman shared with Musk, the specifics of OpenAI's profit cap, or that it had transferred substantially all assets out of the non-profit. Wow, Musk's last payment to OpenAI was on September 14, 2020. Microsoft showed interest in OpenAI from the outset. One day after OpenAI's founding, Microsoft Chief Executive Officer Satya shared OpenAI's introductory blog post with Microsoft executives. Wow. In 2016, Microsoft. Wow. Satya Nadella found it on day one. Microsoft provided discounted computing power to OpenAI in exchange for being named as a sponsor. Discounted computing power to OpenAI in exchange for being named as a sponsor. A Microsoft deck from August 2016 describes OpenAI as a non-profit artificial intelligence research company with a goal to advance digital intelligence in the way that is most likely to benefit humanity as a whole, unconstrained by a need to generate financial return. And lists Musk as a founder and co-chair. A few weeks after Musk resigned from the OpenAI board, Altman shared plans with Microsoft to launch a new commercial venture aimed at delivering vertically integrated AI training hardware and related services into the market. Nadella circulated internally. I wonder if the big OpenAI donors are aware of these plans. Ideologically, I can imagine that they funded an open effort to concentrate machine learning talent so that they could then go build a closed for-profit thing on its back. Wow. Microsoft CTO. I wonder if the big OpenAI donors are aware of these plans. Launch a new commercial venture aimed at delivering a vertically integrated AI training hardware and related services into the market. I wonder if the big OpenAI donors are aware of these plans. Ideologically, I can imagine that they funded an open effort to concentrate machine learning talent so that they could then go build a closed for-profit thing on its back. Tell me exactly what's wrong here that Kevin Scott is describing. It's funny that I'm asking ChatGPT to do the thing. Okay, let's see. What donors thought they were funding? An open, non-profit AI research effort, one designed to share results broadly, prioritize safety, and benefit the public. A place where top ML talent would work in the open, non-build proprietary products. That same donor-funded non-profit is being used to aggregate elite ML talent under the banner of openness. That same donor-funded non-profit is being used to aggregate elite ML talent under the banner of openness. Then once the talent and IP are in place, the organization pivots to closed models, for-profit commercialization, exclusive partnerships. In short, open on the front end, proprietary on the back end. Donors did not consent to funding a pipeline that uses charitable money to build public good infrastructure. Charitable money to build did not consent. Oh, okay, this continues. Okay. Use charitable money to build public good infrastructure, then convert that infrastructure into a private profit generating engine. This violates the moral contract of philanthropy, even if lawyers later argue it is technically permissible. The core accusation distilled: donor capital was used to subsidize the creation of a closed for-profit AI company, something those donors would never have funded directly. Right. It's basically, as Elon said, it's getting free capital to fund your startup. Scott is essentially saying, I think this idea is very interesting actually, to aggregate elite ML talent, because people would actually join something where they are like, oh, it's open source, it's public, they also have funding, we want to work over here, and you are easily able to attract elite talent over there. And now once all this elite talent is together, they want to work with each other. If this plan were explained honestly at the start, the money would not have shown up. This exact concern is quoted and relied on by the code as evidence that Microsoft itself understood the ethical and fiduciary tension in OpenAI's transition. Fiduciary tension, wow. What's exactly wrong over here? Searching the web. Oh wow. Oh no, I think it can read. It can read the document 390. Okay. This document is filed on January 15. Excerpt internal Microsoft email from Kevin Scott expressing deep skepticism and basically moral disapproval about OpenAI's long-term plans. What's the core thing Kevin Scott finds wrong? It's crazy that all your emails could be in the code. All your emails could be in the code. Classic bait and switch. Started as an open non-profit effort dedicated to developing safe AGI for humanity's benefit, open source without profit motive as a primary driver, attracted huge early donation support including Elon and other donors precisely because people believed in that idealistic non-commercial mission. Behind the scenes, the plan all along, or at least a very plausible endgame, was to use the non-profit open brand to concentrate the world's best machine learning talent cheaply, easily. Wow. Cheaply, easily. Build extremely valuable technology using that talent, then pivot to a closed for-profit company that captures the massive commercial upside for a small group of people, founders, later investors, employees with equity, and partners like Microsoft. I wonder if the big OpenAI donors are aware of this plan. These plans, ideologically, I can't imagine that they funded an open effort to concentrate machine learning talent so that they could then go build a closed profit thing on its back. The early donors thought they were funding a public good open science movement. Instead, they may have unwittingly subsidized the creation of one of the most valuable proprietary profit machines in history. Openness, non-profit status, and avoiding commercial capture of AGI. As the organization became hugely successful, gradually moved toward cap profit, full for-profit structuring. Still seems uncomfortable with how the story is being sold, especially to the original idealistic donor supporters. It's very interesting. Agreed to invest $1 billion OpenAI LP in exchange for a convertible limited partnership interest and rights to its profits up to $20 billion. Executed a joint development collaboration agreement with OpenAI and OpenAI LP, provided that Microsoft would build a supercomputer for training the OpenAI entities' models and would exclusively supply cloud computing to both entities, granted Microsoft an exclusive license to commercialize one of the OpenAI entities' models for 1 year, during which the model could not be open source. Wow. It's again interesting, like Satya Nadella, he knows what Sam has done with Elon, so he has to be really careful that this time how he acts with him. So interesting. Microsoft an exclusive license to commercialize model for 1 year, during which the model could not be open source. 2019 investment agreement and JDCA also represented that both open entities had the legal authority to enter those agreements, and that the agreements would not cause the entities to be in breach of any obligation to any third party. Agreements would not cause the entities to be in breach of any obligations to any third party. Microsoft OpenAI's 2016 tax exemption application to the IRS also does not disclose any agreements between OpenAI and Musk. Agreements will not cause the entities to be in breach of any obligation to any third party. Appeared to track OpenAI's growing relationship with Microsoft, publicly responded to reporting that Microsoft had exclusively licensed OpenAI's GPT-3 model by commenting that this does not seem like the opposite of open, and that OpenAI is essentially captured by Microsoft. Of not wanting to get caught up in something because we are effectively owning, presumably, OpenAI. And then let us comment that Microsoft needed to think through Musk's perspective on closed AI. Microsoft invested an additional $2 billion in OpenAI LP with rights to redeem up to $12 billion. Additional $2 billion with rights to redeem up to $12 billion. Would build additional supercomputing capacity and expand Microsoft's rights to commercialize resulting intellectual property. Joint, what do they call it? They call it Joint Development and Collaboration Agreement, JDC, a Joint Development and Collaboration Agreement. Investment agreement and amended JDC, like the earlier agreements, represented that both Microsoft has an army of lawyers, so yeah, you can do all of that. Open entities had the power to enter those agreements, and that the agreements would not cause the entities to be in breach of any obligation to any third party. Restructured OpenAI to address all the challenges we have faced with our unusual structure, non-profit being in control of an LLC. As we become a more commercial effort, remove the non-profit from formal control to mitigate private benefit risk. To mitigate private benefit risk. After ChatGPT was publicly released in November 22, Microsoft agreed in January 23 to further invest $10 billion in OpenAI Global, replacement vehicle to OpenAI LP, in which investors could hold an economic interest in OpenAI, with rights to redeem up to $60 billion initially, increasing by 20% annually, starting in January 25. Wow, how are they able to plan stuff like this? The JDCA was amended a second time to provide that Microsoft would build more. You can learn so much about everybody's strategy by going deep into this. Analyze the strategy that every single participant is playing in this game. Strategic analysis of what each participant is playing for in Musk, Allman, OpenAI, Microsoft. Order and record. Elon Musk, reputational re-anchoring and leverage game. Primary objective, reassert moral authorship over OpenAI's origin story. Reframe himself as guardian of the original charitable intent, not a disgruntled ex-founder. Chooses charitable trust, fraud, and unjust enrichment rather than the contract enforcement. Frames the dispute as values betrayal, not money. Chooses charitable trust, fraud, and unjust enrichment. Charitable trust, fraud, and unjust enrichment rather than contract enforcement. Accepts that he may never recover funds but maximizes narrative legitimacy. Yeah, I think for Elon, he wants to win the narrative. Because money is not important right now. He has the money. He has to win the narrative, because if he wins the narrative, that is going to force every single employee working at ChatGPT that feel like, oh, we are working at a company that feels like a fraud, and they will then go and move to XAI, because what's the other best competitor? XAI. Discovery leverage, because the talent is really important. XAI is really working on talent density, and It's very interesting. Narrative legitimacy, discovery leverage. Discovery leverage. I think this is also very interesting, discovery leverage, because when this entire discovery happens, when all these emails come out, what is truly happening is you are kind of finding the behind the scenes, and behind the scenes of every company is kind of this aggressive and all this stuff. And now as people find about this, they are shared on Twitter. People, every company is like this. Like if you talk to any startup founder who is big today, they had stuff like this. Like I know one of our friends worked at Brex, and in the early days Brex was all about we wanna kill American Express, and we wanna bring down American Express, and even that was in their Wi-Fi that we wanna take down, and they were really aggressive about it. They would talk very aggressively about it. So everybody's very aggressive. Like if you got to that place, that meant that you were very aggressive. But getting these exact phrases out in the wild actually makes kind of people you feel like, okay, if like people can like pick through them, and at the end Elon is winning the narrative. This is so interesting. Introducing reverse Claude code, where Claude tells you what to do. Putting up cursor in the morning after blessing it with career, ending slurs the night before. When do we line up for the first ever Sources Live in Davos next week? Demis Reflection, co-founder and CEO. Ionis. Scale AI CEO. Jason. Oh my god, Scale AI. Meta CTO Boz. Turing CEO John Sid. Jonathan Siddharth. 11 Labs. Mati. Interesting. The Holy Trinity of Agentic UI, Rams.ai. This is Rita Rams, right? Web interface guidelines. Okay. Go back. Vercel. Rams.ai looks cool. A design engineer for your coding agent. Reviews for accessibility issues, visual inconsistencies, and UI polish. Then offers to fix them. Is this inspired by Rita Rams? Whoa. Aditya Ram. Rita Rams. Honest utility, systems thinking. Fewer visual metaphors, even tight spacing rhythm, make states explicit, reduce personality. Okay, cool. Let's go back. Alright. Narrative legitimacy. Why this is rational. Contract claims are brittle. Trust and fiduciary claims survive longer. Statutes via discovery rules. Yeah, it's very important for everybody to understand why Elon is doing this. Elon is doing to win the narrative. Trust and fiduciary claims survive longer. Statutes via discovery rules. Force internal documents into daylight. Scale into systemic questions about non-profit capture. Payoff. Musk is actually targeting precedent plus public legitimacy plus future regulatory leverage. Precedent plus public legitimacy plus future regulatory leverage. Optionality for XAI policy influence and historical framing. Long horizon reputation dominant strategy, willing to lose locally to win globally. Yeah, willing to lose locally to win globally. Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, the plausible continuity game. Preserve OpenAI's functional continuity and executive legitimacy while minimizing personal exposure. Argue. No enforceable trust purpose. No reliance, no actionable misrepresentation. Emphasize incremental evolution rather than a hard pivot. Incremental evolution. Keep intent ambiguous. Enthusiasm instead of commitments. Enthusiasm instead of commitments. Argue no enforceable trust purpose. No reliance. No actionable misrepresentation. Hidden risk. Brockman's personal notes act as dominated evidence to destroy clean hands optics. They anchor Cinder for fraud. Why the strategy still makes sense. Winning summary judgment was unlikely. The real objective is delay. Narrow claims. Avoid dispositive findings on intent. Payoff they want. Survive to trial or settlement without personal liability. Injunctive governance constraints. Game type. Defensive minimax under reputational shadow. Preserve maneuvering room. They want to keep it ambiguous. Yeah. OpenAI as an institution. The mission reinterpretation game. Redefine mission fidelity as outcome based, not structure based. Open source and non-profit were means, not ends. Cap profits still service humanity. Push the idea that scale is safety. Structural reality, assets, IP, and labor migrated almost entirely to for-profit vehicles. Assets, IP, and labor migrated almost entirely to for-profit vehicles. This creates an unavoidable private benefit problem. Why OpenAI's strategy partially fails. Codes care about what donors reasonably believed, not post hoc mission reinterpretations. Payoff they seek. Hybrid non-profit profit transitions. Mission elasticity under capital pressure. Norm setting institutional defense. Playing for precedent more than verdict. Microsoft, the controlled distance game. Capture OpenAI's upside without inheriting its original sense. Get the money, but stay away from me. I don't want your problems. Get the money, not the problems. Successfully exits tortious interference, unjust enrichment, maintains plausible deniability, arm's length investor posture. Where Microsoft miscalculates, internal emails reveal awareness of donor expectations, awareness of non-profit capture optics. This keeps aiding and abetting alive, even if liable remedies are equitable and bounded. Worst case, disgorgement risk, governance adjustments. Best case, clean conversion into PVC equity. Payoff Microsoft wants preserve AI infrastructure dominance, avoid antitrust acceleration. Game type. Risk hedged, platform strategy, asymmetric upside, cap downside. The core legitimacy preservation game. Prevent charitable trust law from becoming toothless in the age of AI capital. Deny summary judgment where intent, reliance, or knowledge are fact bound. Carefully avoids moralizing technological judgments. Keeping institutional accountability alive, signaling that non-profit is in name-only structures will be scrutinized. Donor expectations still matter. Game type. System stability. Arbitration protects law's relevance without freezing innovation. This is not a founder's path. Whether AI non-profits can lawfully bootstrap themselves into trillion-dollar profit engines using moral capital. Whether donor intent survives contact with hyperscale compute. Whether mission is enforceable or merely aesthetic. Everyone is playing future governance, not past money. I think what a lot of leaders will realize is that it's really beneficial to just put all these ideas in your head. Utiliza tudo la memória alve ou aplicação. Oh no.